You were recently asked about the term globalize the intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights.
You won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety.
Zohran Mamdani, the radical Democrat socialist and alleged radical Islamist candidate for mayor in New York City, is primed to win that race. And of course, this has caused Andrew Cuomo to come out and actually say some things that a lot of people are actually thinking. And that's what we're going to see being discussed on two separate occasions over on CNN with Abby Phillips and the Newsnight crew. But before we begin, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
In the final days of the race for the New York City mayor, Andrew Cuomo is stirring up fears about his rival Zohran Mamdani by seeming to suggest that the frontrunner would cheer on another terrorist attack on New York City.
Any given morning, there's a crisis. And people's lives are at stake. God forbid another 9/11. Can you imagine Mamdani in the seat?
Yeah, I could. He'd be cheering.
Yeah, well, it's another problem. But can you imagine that?
No.
No,
Listen.
If Mamdani was in the seat on 9/11, what would have happened in the city?
Look, if Cuomo's probably going to lose this race. Like, I don't see how he doesn't. And if he wants to attack Mamdani for not having experience for some of his positions, that's fine. But to engage in now he didn't say it, but he didn't say it was unacceptable. To engage in that it is disgusting. And I say it as Cuomo, even though he's running as an independent, as him being a Democrat.
Well, he was talking about his experience. I mean, if you watch the debate last night, most of Cuomo's best moments were about Mamdani's experience. In this particular case, I think he was making 2 points, actually. One is, if you did, God forbid, have a massive emergency like that, would you really want someone in the mayor's seat who has never had a job, never run anything, certainly never run anything at this level? Yeah. And that's been his entire argument, number one. Number two, it is true that Mamdani was taking a picture with an unindicted co-conspirator from the World Trade Center bombing the other day and called him a pillar of the community. Cuomo didn't make him take that picture. Mamdani took that picture and seems to be pretty proud of it. That's a legitimate thing to debate. But I think in this case of the radio show, the core issue was Mamdani literally has no experience. And if you had a 9/11 scale event, would you want somebody who can't prove that they can do anything in the chair? Legit.
Is it fair to say that he would cheer on 9/11?
He's taking pictures with unindicted co-conspirators from the World Trade Center bombing.
I mean, are you willing to say that? You really think that he would cheer on 9/11?
He's taking pictures with unindicted co-conspirators from the World Trade Center bombing.
I mean, I'm just saying. Hey, look, I'm just right.
It wasn't Cuomo. It was the radio.
But I'm asking Scott, because Scott seems to think that's like a totally above-board line of attack. Do you think that that's true?
I can only tell you what I see on my phone. I see a picture of Mamdani with a guy who was an unindicted co-conspirator from a terrorist attack in New York City.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think that was a good picture to take?
Listen, he is an unindicted co-conspirator in that case. Tonight, Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani defended his background in a tearful speech after his rival, Andrew Cuomo, didn't push back on a radio host who had said that Mamdani would cheer on a terror attack.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt, who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Mamdani is clearly realizing there's an opportunity to sort of paint Cuomo as a bigot in this case.
Yeah, that's right. I think that what Cuomo did was terrible. We should never be targeting anybody for the color of their skin or their religion. And if we disagree with Mamdani on issues, what he has said previously, that still does not make his comments and his targeting okay. And Cuomo, if he cannot act like a mayor, then he should not be mayor. This is, I mean, he should not be going to this level of criticizing and going after him for his religion or the color of his skin, and it's unacceptable.
No one is attacking Mamdani. We are not attacking Mamdani for his skin, but he continues to ally himself with people who are terror sympathizers. Last week, he posted a photo of himself smiling, his arms around this imam, calling him a pillar of a community. This guy has said America is filthy, it is sick. He has applauded jihad. Meanwhile, he's asked, can you tell Hamas to lay down their weapons? He won't do it. He won't condemn globalizing the intifada. And so he has this pattern of continuing to celebrate people who are sympathetic to terrorizers. That is alarming. And you can raise the alarm bells about that without being sexist or racist or any of these offenses that we're leveling against Cuomo.
Today, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, did actually, after a long time, endorse Mamdani, saying Mamdani has relentlessly focused on addressing the affordability crisis and explicitly committed to being a mayor for all New Yorkers, including those who don't support his candidacy. In that spirit, I support him and the entire citywide Democratic ticket in the general election. Mamdani, despite the criticism from Cuomo, is still polling with about 30% of Jewish voters in the city. So there is a bit of a split happening here. It's clearly not a universal view that he can't gain the support of some Jewish voters, although a majority are with Cuomo.
Yeah, and there are very liberal Jewish voters in New York City, that's for sure. Look, I think that Cuomo's best vector is the experience vector. But it is true, Mamdani, he's allied himself with certain people, a lot of the people that surround him, the people involved in this Democratic Socialist organization. I mean, they have said more than a handful of eyebrow-raising things when it comes to their views of America, their views of Jewish people, and so on and so forth. He knows that. He does align himself with them. He doesn't really distance himself. Today he has this press conference. I watched a chunk of it. I didn't hear any words for the victims of 9/11, but he found the real victim, his aunt.
Is he?
The victims of 9/11 were in the Twin Towers. Those were the victims.
Is the implication here that he has to answer for the terrorists who attacked 9/11?
No, I think if you're going to have if you're going to run for mayor of New York City, or have any position in New York City, and you're going to talk about 9/11 or invoke 9/11, you darn sure better start with the people who died in the Twin Towers. That's what I think. And he didn't do that. And he kind of, he made it about his experience and his aunt and all this. My advice would be, if you're going to want to be the mayor of this town, and by the way, he's probably going to win, that moment in our history, you cannot lose sight of what happened. People died in those Twin Towers. They did not deserve to die. We did suffer a terrorist attack, and we can't really forget the moment. Making it about him and his family, okay, there were almost 3,000 people that died there. It's a big deal.
So 24 years ago, of course, we had the 9/11 attacks, and everybody was saying never forget. And yet here we are in 2025, and now we have Zohran Mamdani, who is about ready to win the mayor race in New York City, of all places, even though his silence is deafening on radical Islamic attacks. Okay? And this is something we have to discuss. Our Western cultures are ill-prepared to fight back against this kind of Islamic jihadist takeover. Okay? Because we have open dialogue. We love free speech. We want people to come out and speak their minds. Okay? However, this is being used as cover for some of the most radical ideologies the world has ever seen. All you have to do is go onto YouTube, go onto X, go onto any platform, and start watching some of the speeches that these imams are giving. They're not talking about integrating into American culture. They're talking about taking over America. They're talking about subjugating America. They're talking about turning America into an Islamic state. And guess what? They are going to succeed eventually. And the reason they're succeeding is something that Scott Jennings actually mentioned, right? On 9/11, we had 3,000 American civilians killed by radical Islamic terrorists. Okay, but to Zohran Mamdani, what's he really upset about? Oh, my aunt was very scared to go on the subway. Okay, we just faced an attack from a radical Islamic group, and what is he worried about? Oh, his aunt felt uncomfortable. Okay, well, I'm sorry your aunt felt uncomfortable. But guess what? We were under attack and we're still under attack. Only now the attack is much more subversive because now, of course, they're taking advantage of our open-mindedness, of our bleeding hearts. So what we have to recognize first and foremost is that in this country, immigration isn't a bad thing, but it has to be kept legal. It has to be kept limited. And of course, it has to be kept to people who want to come into this country to integrate and embrace our American culture. And if that's something you're not able or willing to do, then you shouldn't be allowed to come here. That's the only way we can fight back against this takeover that we are facing. And that's why Zohran Mamdani doesn't have any urgency whatsoever to come out and say, oh, I condemn saying globalize the intifada, right? We're going to go ahead and wipe all Jews off the face of the map. And also, of course, oh, those Hamas people, they're not so bad. They don't need to disarm. They don't have to stop attacking Israel and, of course, executing Palestinians in the streets, right? They don't have to do any of that, right? He's not going to pass judgment. He's more worried about New York citizens, all right? As if the man is a socialist, right? He's a silver spoon socialist. He has a rent-controlled apartment. He's never had a real job a day in his life. His parents are highly affluent. And what does he do right now? He embraces Democrat socialism. And of course, this is something that a lot of people recognize, but not a lot of people have had the heart to come out and say. But Andrew Cuomo, because he's about ready to lose this race, is finally raising up some of these points, or at least not contradicting them outright. But as Scott Jennings also mentioned, it was Zohran Mamdani that posted a picture of himself with this radical imam. And of course, he seems very proud to do so, right? That was him making his own choice. Now, why in the world would he do that so boastfully on all these platforms? Oh, it's because he agrees with what this guy is saying and what he actually stands for. And as I said a little while ago, all you have to do is look at some of the speeches that are not being held secretly, things that are being said out in the open from these imams about America and the potential takeover that they are plotting, as it were. And that, of course, is what has most people frightened about Mamdani in New York. Not the fact that he's a socialist, which in and of itself should be scary enough, the fact that he's a radical Islamist, allegedly, simply because of the company he keeps and the silence on several of these issues that he's been asked about repeatedly. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.